Tomahawk missiles allowed on Philippine soil, the only sea nation with US missiles aimed at China. For the first time in a long while, the Philippines under the administration of President Bong Bong Marcos or PBBM has allowed the deployment of long-range land attack cruise missiles of the United States or US on its soil, which is now aimed at China. This came in the form of the Typhon mid-range capability or MRC weapons system of the US Armed Forces. The system arrived in northern Luzon recently to participate in a joint Philippine-US military exercise. That's Typhon, by the way, with only one O and not two. What the US basically did with this system is that they took for cells of the strikelength Mk-41 vertical launch system or VLS that is normally used on ships, and then put it on a 20-wheeler M983A for heavy expanded mobility tactical truck so it can be used and fired on land. The Typhon MRC only entered service last year of 2023, so it is a very new system. It can actually use two types of missiles. First is the Standard Missile 6 or SM-6, which is used primarily as an antiballistic missile or ABM, but also has an antiship capability as its secondary role. It has a range of approximately 240 kilometers. The second missile it uses is actually the more critical one. It is the Tomahawk Land Attack Missile or TLAM, which is one of the most iconic weapons systems of the US. The Tomahawk has been in service since the early 1980s and has seen action in almost every single war that the US has undertaken since then. As its expanded name says, it is used for land attack, or attacking stationary targets on land, and its latest version has a range of at least 1,600 kilometers and has a warhead weight of 450 kilograms. It is a cruise missile, but it is also basically a robot weapon that can navigate and then identify its target all on its own. It navigates to its target using a navigation system called terraincontourmatching or tercom, which in simplest terms means it matches the radar altimeter data with the one that was mapped before and stored into its memory. When it is near its target, it identifies it on its own using a system called digitalscenematchingareacorrelation or dsmac, where it takes pictures and then compares them with the digital images of the target that is stored in its internal memory. When deployed in northern Luzon, these Tomahawks could reach and hit all of the southern cities in China, and most of its eastern cities including Shanghai, and could go as far inland as the city of Wuhan. Now Tomahawk missiles are standard weapons on the US Navy destroyers and submarines, so their presence near to China is not that new since these US Navy vessels often patrol in the South China Sea or SCS anyway. Their presence in the Philippines then is more symbolic in nature in that it is like the Philippines telling China that we can hit you too from our soil, so it is not something China will take lightly. This is also a violation of what PBBM said back in April of 2023 when he said that the Philippines won't be used for offensive actions as the Tomahawk missiles clearly are offensive weapons. Note that as far as I know, no other country in Southeast Asia or sea has allowed US missiles on their soil to target China, and it is unlikely they will in the near future as most of them are smart and pragmatic and prefer to get the economic benefits from China rather than quarreling with them over territory. Vietnam probably has some missiles aimed at China too since they share a common border, but the Vietnamese government again prefers to be friendly and engage China more economically. As I have posted about many times before, there are a lot of economic and military activities between Vietnam and China, unlike between the Philippines and China.